Ba-bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Yes, I forgot to say so yesterday, but I'm not gonna be streaming tomorrow, so it's Warrior Cat Wednesday today. Warrior Cat Tuesday. It should have been like I was gonna do it on Thursday, but I have a collab with Dunn on Thursday. Tuesday. Tuesday. Wednesday. Something like that. We're starting a way out. The peace treaty that concluded the harrowing conflict of World War I was signed in the grandeur of Versailles. Wow. Why is Snicklefritz... Okay, so he's supposed to give like a summary of what happened in chat during ad breaks apparently, but when there's no summary to give, he gives off really weird facts or like trivias. Like, why are they so intense? Why couldn't they be like fun animal facts? I wish it could be fun animal facts. Although I am very curious to see how it will summarize what happened in Warrior Cats. Because then it'll show, like, is it listening to me actively? Or is it just going off of what's in the chat? These are the things that I must know. Surely just chat. Surely, right? Surely. I'm hoping. Snooklefritz is actively watching us. Oops. It does make me wish that I could afford to get like... It is an AI thing, but it's like, fun animal fact. Pelicans will try to swallow anything they can fit in their mouths. Even each other? That'd be scary. But yeah, even though it's like... I think it's actually ChatGPT. The Pog, which is like a TTS service. Pog TTS, yeah. It's a special thing they have, like where the TTS goes through like a live 2D model essentially. But they had a new feature that they added last year sometime where they could have it so the program itself is like ChatGPT, and then you give it like a character and it'll read chat and it'll like respond to chat too. So you could like talk to it and it will like remember things and like grow with what you talk to it about. It's wild. Ah, Cheeky-san! Oh my god, Cheeky! Hi! We plop, we flop, we can't just wait, we can't stop. Oh my god, my Mix It Up didn't work. Cause I don't have Mix It Up open! Oh my goodness gracious. Here. Hold on. Don't worry. Hi! I'm good! I just started stream! Usually we have Warrior Cat Wednesday on Wednesdays. Thus the name. But today we have it today. Quazzle! Quazzle! Thank you for the quazzle! Thanks. Oh, I don't have the beat me up thing on today. Because it's a Warrior Cat Wednesday. Thank you so much for the follow! Bliss. Cheeky socks. Hold on, guys. My thing is gonna give you a really cool summary. Let's see. Dang, where's it, John? I love Warrior Cat's so nostalgic. Yeah, we're on the third series, second book. We started the second book last time. Aha! Okay, there we go. Snigglefritz wrote you a poem. In the land of Twitch, there's a dragon so cheeky, playing games full of spooks, yet the vibe's always peaky. From Spiritfarer's calm to ghost hunting's thrill, Cheeky Sock streams with a comfort that's chill. Monday to Friday, they're live with a grin, a VTuber dragon where fun times begin. So join for the cozy or scares if you dare. With Cheeky Sock streaming, you'll be glad you were there! So cute! Aww. Cheeky Socks, are you a dragon? Is that made by using an AI chat bot? It is, I think it has, like, some sort of AI thing in it. It's called Frosty Tools. It's very new. It's a program that's gonna be, you have to pay for it in the future, but because it's so new, it's free right now. So I'm just having a little bit of fun with it. It goes into the Twitch data, like the data that Twitch has, and sucks it up. I think it mostly reads like your titles for your streams, and then the Monday to Friday, so it kind of like knows how frequently you stream, and then I think your like game categories, stuff like that. It'll like, and then I have like, sometimes it'll do a recap when I do like ad breaks of what happened in the chat, and it's kind of like, sometimes I forget what happened in the chat and it spooks me a little. I'm like, what the, how did it know? How did it know what happened? Sucks up all the data, then AI stuff, neat little, yeah. And you can like, you can Sugli model, thank you! I'm so happy. You can like have it here. I'm on the site now actually. Drinks the data like soup. Soup. Limpton soup. I really feel like Limpton soup. See, you can have like, it has alternate writing instructions. And so I have Dr. Seuss inspired poet. That's why it sounds like that. But you can have Viking, pirate, grizzled war veteran, ooh-woo e-girl, sci-fi geek, emoji pasta movie announcer, film noir detective, Shakespearean actor, silly snake, stage magician, conspiracy theorist, existentialist, Hulk Hogan style wrestler, Wild West outlaw, hyperactive kid, old-timey news reporter, food critic, grandma, Sixie Dixie, regal monarch, valley girl, and then you can make your own, and it's just like however you describe it. It's quite cool and fun, and it definitely, I don't know, I feel like it's a lot more fun for the people who raid to get like a cute little poem that I can read that kind of like summarizes what they are up to, rather than like, oh, what were you up to? You know, like, oh, that's cool, etc., etc. But Phasmo is cool. And I hope you had a really good time. Bio going. Hi. Hello. We actually haven't even started reading, but I'm so glad that you raided. Raiders, please, if you feel like staying, then no worries. We're having a really, you read poems and books on stream. Only on Wednesdays I read Warrior Cats. That's Warrior Cat Wednesdays. Today is not Wednesday, but we're reading it because I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. So yeah, we've read through the first series, which is 6 books, and then the second series, which is another 6 books. So technically we read 13 books on stream in the last year. And now we're on the third series, second book. I'll be looking for a bit, but hope you have lots of... Thank you so much! Thank you so much for the raid. If anybody who came at the raid wants to just hang out and needs something to like listen to in the background, this is the perfect stream for you. But if you need to, I don't know, go out, get some lunch or dinner or breakfast, then please do. I do like a little summary of what happened thus far. That's kind of impressive, to be honest. I dig the outdoor ambience. Yeah, because it's Warrior Cats. Warrior Cats is a very nostalgic book for a lot of people. I read it in middle school, And they're still going now. I've read more than these streams than I have in my entire life. It's a lot. I can't, honestly, it's one of the most things I'm proud of, that we stuck to it and are reading through all the warrior books. After we're done the Warriors series, I mean, they're still ongoing, but once we've caught up to the most recent ones, we're gonna do other, like, nostalgic books that one might have read when they were younger. Some of the things on the list is the Spiderwick Chronicles, what was the Series of Unfortunate Events, Guardians of Gahul, Aragon. Unless you count Cone, but I don't read Cone for fun. I read it for pain. Oh no! I can't even read code, so that's like a whole... That's a whole other language. Okay, no worries. Beyond going. Yeah! Have fun! Whatever you're up to today. Alright. So, let us begin. We'll summarize what happened last time. We just started the book last time, so we're not really... Oh, sometimes I also can't read code. I feel like it would be really, like, something you could really show off someone with, you know? I don't know. You just have to have the right, like, you know, if you're in some sort of, like, maybe high-tech museum and there's, like, code on the wall and you could be like, I know what this says. And they're like, what? And you're like, well, actually, it's quite interesting because this means that and that means this. And they're like, wow, that's so impressive. And you're like, I know. At least I'll have some background noise when experience peak Terraria gameplay, standing still and farming biome keys for literal hours. Good luck, Ash. I'm gonna go to the Saint Land. Oh. So long! Alright, what happened last time? Oh yeah, so in the prologue last time, we read 2 chapters and then the prologue. So in the prologue, we got a really, like, a sneak peek of some sort of ancient or past cat group. And from what we have gathered, this past cat group used to have a tradition where in order to become a quote-unquote warrior, I think, or I don't know what their word was exactly, but we'll say warrior because that's what we know. They had to go through these tunnels and find another way out. So they come in one way, and then there's like all these tunnels underground, and they're supposed to find the way, a new way out to the surface. And if they don't die, then they get to be a warrior. And if they do die, then they're dead. And so we were following Fallen Leaves, and he was just about to become a warrior. And so he just entered the tunnels. That was the prologue. And then in chapter 1, what happened? We were in Lion Paw's POV. Oh, they went to a gathering. And this was an exciting gathering because J-Paw was also coming, which is his first gathering. Apparently, River Clan was kind of being weird. Oh yeah, wait. I'm remembering now. Okay, so they went to the gathering, all 3 of them, and River Clan, when River Clan came, they were kind of like suspicious, like they were acting weird, right? And when they were giving news to everybody, they just were like, nothing new happened. Okay, let's leave. And so then they dispersed. Lion Paw wanted to talk to Heather Paw, who is a Wind Clan warrior cat, or apprentice. They're both young, so they probably became apprentices around the same time. So after Heather Paw called him over and was like, hey, Lion Paw, you want to meet up outside of the gathering at our borders? And he was like, that's breaking the rules. And then she was like, well, what harm will it do? We're just going to hang out. And then he was like, all right. And so he's been sneaking out and meeting Heatherpaw at the border, very scandalous. And then Hollypaw, let's see. Yeah, Hollypaw, then chapter 2 was mostly Hollypaw trying to figure out what the heck is going on. She was suspect of what Lionpaw was up to. And then she tried to talk to J-Paw about it. Like, oh, J-Paw, maybe you know what's happening with Lionpaw? And then J-Paw was like, I don't know, it's none of my business. And then she was like, what about River Clan? Because they were being weird. And he was like, I don't know. And she was like, please, I want to know. And then he was like, all right, the moon pool or the half moon is coming up soon, so I'll go see what I can find out. And then she was like, you're not going to go spying, are you? And he's like, he's going to go spying for sure. So that's that. And then Hollypaw finally woke up and saw that Lionpaw had snuck out. And her and Cinderpaw both went and tracked him down and found him hanging out with his not girlfriend. And Hollypaw was like, you can't be doing this, bro. And then he was like, rawr, rawr, rawr. I'm throwing a tantrum, anger. Leave me alone. What? Why are you such a busybody? And then Hollypaw was like, come on, dude. Like, this is, like, important. He's cheating. He's breaking the loyalty of his clan. He's not dating anyone, but he's like, you know, he's not supposed to mingle with cats from another clan. That's against the warrior code. They're not allowed to do that. And then, so Cinderpaw and Hollypaw caught him and then was like, these cats ain't loyal, right? But caught on and they told him to go back to camp and he's like, rah, rah, rah. And that's where we ended. And now we're on chapter 3. Okay, let me read what you guys said while I was summarizing. This code looks so fascinating. What is it? Pretty sure the guy who wrote this is trying to remote his toaster so he doesn't have to walk downstairs for dust. If they do die, then they're dead. Yeah. Classic cliche. Come on, what's the worst? That's the way of the clan cats. There's always some. What's the worst that could happen, guys? There's a reason why it's on the law of the cats. Why you have to follow the code. Some gooses. All right, chapter 3. Let's begin. Oh yeah, before disclaimer, sometimes when I first start reading, I'm a little out of practice and so I stumble a lot, but I will get better as we go on. That's my usual disclaimer. J-Paw winced as grit from the trail dug into his pads. At least they did not ache with cold. The stony path to the moon pool was warming up as New Leaf took hold. Ahead of him, Leafpool chatted with Mothwing. Their mews were only just audible over the rush of water because the stream that flowed beside their path was swollen by snowmelt from the distant mountain. It carried the scent of frost and rock, and below them the level of the lake would be rising with the extra water. Little Cloud and Barkface had taken the lead, while Willowpaw trailed behind with Crestlerpaw. This is the weirdest name. J-Paw slowed occasionally in case the two apprentices wanted to catch up to him, but Willowpaw adjusted her soft step, and Crestlerpaw quickly matched it so they were always a little behind. It was a silent challenge, but J-Paw was content to walk alone. At least he could listen to snatches of Medicine Cat's conversations. Who had recovered from green cough? Who had sprained their paw? Which herb best treated the mange that was currently running rife in ShadowClan Apprentice Den? As he listened, he let his mind wander, feeling for what emotion lurked behind the words. I've tried comfy for the itching, Little Cloud sighed. He blames the apprentices for not keeping their pelts clean in the first place. We didn't think Morning Flower would recover from green cough, but she has lived to see another New Leaf, Barkface confided. But your anxiety tells me that you think it'll be our last. Is Mousefur completely recovered? Mothwing asked Leafpool. J-Paw searched Mothwing's mind, but only found the blackness that always seemed to shield her emotions. He flicked his attention to Willowpaw. If Hollypaw was right and RiverClan were in trouble, Hollypaw would be the one to betray it. Her mind was usually open as the moorland. He concentrated on the RiverClan apprentice, sniffing out her emotions as though they were scent. Sure enough, unease enfolded her. J-Paw tried to delve further into her thoughts, but it was as though they had wrapped herself in brambles. Thorny barbs drove him back. Frustrated, he gave up. I'll find out more when she dreams. The path had reached the steep rocks that walled the ridge. Conversations died as the medicine cats climbed, their words turning to breathless gaps as they bounded up rock after rock. J-Paw scrambled ahead of Leafpool. He felt his mentor's watchful gaze warm his pulse as he leaped into the tricky ledge. Thankfully, she said nothing. He had been this way often enough to make it to the ridge without help. As he hauled himself over the edge, he was caught by the fresh scent of the moon pool, frost and rock and sky. Look at how big it is, Willowpaw breathed as she climbed up beside him. Meltwater, Leafpool meowed. It's wide enough to hold every star in the sky, Cresslerpaw mewed. There's room for all tonight, a whispering breeze sang into J-Paw's ears. The voices had come to welcome him. He wondered if they'd welcome the others too. Did you hear that? He asked casually. Leafpool's gaze scorched his ears. Hear what? That be the wind, Little Cloud explained. It sounds different up here, because it's echoed by the rock, Barkface added. Their matter-of-fact tone answered J-Paw's question. These cats only heard wind. The voices spoke to him alone. J-Paw thought again of the prophecy he had learned in Firestar's dream. There will be 3, kin of your kin, who hold the power of the stars in their paws. His pelt prickled with excitement. This must be part of his power, the ability to hear things no other cat could. Willowpaw shifted her weight from one paw to another. Where shall we lie? The water has covered our usual places. J-Paw heard Mothwing's tail swish the air. The rocks are flat over there. He followed Leafpool down towards the pool. The breeze stirred his fur, and the voices whispered in his ear again, Welcome, J-Paw. The stone beneath his paw was dimpled, worn into a pathway of countless paw steps. Water suddenly lapped his paws. They were only halfway down the slope. Tingling with surprise, he followed Leafpool around the water's far-reaching edge and settled on a rock beside her. He heard Leafpool's breath stir the pool, and then deepen as she fell into dream sleep. The other cats lay down, their fur brushing the rock, and soon the hollow echoed only with the sound of breath and wind upon water. Willowpaw was the last to settle. J-Paw waited while she slid into sleep. Focusing on her mind, he leaned forward and touched the moon pool with his muzzle. Instantly, he was swept away in a torrent of seething water. He struggled and flailed with his paws, his heart bursting with terror as he gasped for air. He looked up and saw a stormy sky clouding above him and all around, churning water that stretched the endless horizon. Then he saw Willowpaw's head bobbing above the waves. She was swimming, her eyes filled with determination, her jaws clutching a mouthful of herbs as her paws churned. J-Paw clutched at the water, struggling to keep his head above the surface. The water sucked at his hind paws, dragging him down. Water filled his mouth and nose. Splashing, coughing, he tried to claw his way back to the safety of consciousness. He opened his eyes. He was laying on damp grass. Trees leaned over him, their leaves blocking out the sun, and ferns crowded around him. J-Paw struggled to his paws and looked around. Was this Willowpaw's dream or his own? You must hurry! A husky mew hissed beyond the ferns. J-Paw stretched wearily onto his hind legs and peered over the ferns. A brown tom, stiff with age, was nudging Willowpaw forward. You must leave! He meowed. What about my herbs? Willowpaw dug her claws into the grass. You know I can't leave them behind, Mudfur. Take what you can! Find the rest when you get there. Get where? Willowpaw's voice sounded close to panic. There's no time for your questions, Mudfur meowed. If you stay, the clan will be destroyed. But there's nowhere to go. J-Paw dropped back onto 4 paws. There was something wrong in RiverClan. Something very wrong. Spine again. J-Paw spun around. He had heard this voice before, and it had lost none of its mocking sharpness. I don't see how you can accuse me of spine, he objected, when you keep turning up in all of my dreams. But they're not your dreams, are they? Yellowfang stared at him, her amber eyes cloudy, her thick coat as unkempt as ever. J-Paw felt a rush of anger. I'm dreaming, so it's my dream. Clever, croaked Yellowfang, but not honest. You intend to trespass on Willowpaw's dream the moment you closed your eyes. If you knew what I was gonna do, why did you let me do it? He demanded. Yellowfang turned her face away. You can't stop me, can you? J-Paw felt a rush of delight, like a bird escaping grasping claws. I have the power of the stars in my paws. Yellowfang swung her head around and glared at him. Do you really believe that? Are you telling me it's not true? Just tell me this. What exactly do you have the power to do? J-Paw stared at her. You have no idea, do you? She pressed. J-Paw's whiskers twitched. Do you? Yellowfang blinked slowly but did not reply. I have this power for a reason, J-Paw insisted. Then find out what that reason is before you use it. Yellowfang turned away. As she disappeared into the ferns, J-Paw woke up. Blackness pressed into him. He was blind once more. Beside him, Leafpool was stretching. Did you dream? She yawned. Yes. J-Paw scrambled to his paws and whispered in her ear. About RiverClan. Tell me once we left the others. She jerked away from him. Mothwing, is everything okay? What? In her dreams about hunting squirrels and chasing butterflies? J-Paw had long since guessed that there was something wrong with Mothwing's connection with StarClan, some secret that Leafpool shared but would not betray. He heard Grit skidding across the rock. Willowpaw had leaped to her paws. Mothwing! J-Paw could tell the young cat was trying to stop her voice from trembling. We have to go home at once. Hi, Cordy. What did you see in your dream? Anxiety was prickling from Leafpool's pelt. J-Paw could feel it like lightning in the air. They had left the others at the WindClan border and were headed up the slope towards the forest. The wind was chilly and carried the freshness of unfurled leaves. J-Paw guessed that dawn was close. RiverClan is in trouble, he announced. I saw Willowpaw swimming in a huge lake, bigger than the other one. Or bigger than this one. She said RiverClan have to find a new home, and she was talking to some old cat called Mudfur. He was RiverClan's medicine cat before Mothwing, Leafpool gasped. What was he doing in your dream? What was either of them doing? Her voice trailed away, and J-Paw felt anger flare up from her. You went into Willowpaw's dream, didn't you? Hollypaw told me to find out if RiverClan were in trouble. Did she tell you to trespass on her friend's dreams? Of course not. Hollypaw doesn't understand that stuff. She just wanted to know what was wrong, so I tried to find out. As a favor to your littermate. Leafpool's mew was scathing, and yet beneath her anger, J-Paw could sense fear, which puzzled him. What was there to be scared of? StarClan let me do it, he told her. Why are you making such a fuss? The most important thing is we know RiverClan is in trouble. You shouldn't be able to find out things like that so easily, Leafpool murmured half to herself. Just because you can't do it doesn't mean it's wrong, J-Paw snorted impatiently. That's got nothing to do with it, Leafpool snapped. I'm worried it'll be like last time. When I dreamed about the dogs attacking WindClan? When Barkface dreamt about the dogs attacking WindClan. Leafpool was fighting not to raise her voice. StarClan shared with him so he could protect his clan. You wanted to take advantage of their vulnerability. Well, this time I'm just doing Hollypaw a favor, J-Paw mewed. Don't tell anyone else what you're doing, Leafpool begged. Why not? J-Paw flexed his claws. Why should I keep secrets about a gift StarClan has given me? Why was Leafpool so fond of secrets? Secrets about his gifts, secrets about Mothwing and StarClan. He suspected there was even more secrets buried in his mentor's heart, secrets that she guarded so closely he had never been able to glimpse them. Knowledge can be dangerous, Leafpool warned. Frustration clawed at J-Paw's belly. He lived his life in darkness. He longed for light and clarity, not shadows. He forced away his anger. Leafpool had lived too long with secrets. He couldn't change her mind in a single night. But why did she have to drag him into her complicated world? We will tell Firestar about RiverClan, though, won't we? He prompted. We might as well. Leafpool paused. But please don't mention how you found out. J-Paw didn't reply. It was just like the WindClan dream. He hadn't cared then whether the other cats knew what he could or could not do. He didn't care now, but he didn't like that Leafpool was making the decision for him. He hurried ahead, familiar now with the ground beneath his paws. They were almost back to camp. He broke into a run and heard Leafpool's paws pattering the fallen leaves behind him. She was right on his tail as he burst into the camp. Leafpool? Firestar's mew sounded from the high ledge. Is something wrong? I need to talk to you, Leafpool called. She was past J-Paw, headed towards the tumble of fallen walks. We need to talk to you. He followed her up to the high ledge. Come inside. Firestar led the two cats into his cave. J-Paw could sense Sandstorm and hear her steady lapping of her tongue. Good morning, Leafpool. Sandstorm paused from her washing. Her voice softened as she addressed him. Good morning, J-Paw. A twinge of resentment stabbed his belly. She still thinks I'm a kid. I had a dream, he began, about RiverClan. Leafpool quickly finished his sentence. J-Paw dreamed that they were in trouble. There seemed to be a problem with their home. Firestar's tail swished over the ground. Was there any message about ThunderClan? ThunderClan wasn't involved. Leafpool meowed carefully. And there was no clear sign about what their problem is, Firestar queried. Not exactly, J-Paw admitted. Then I don't see what we can do, Firestar concluded. Shouldn't we try to help them? Leafpool's mew was brittle with surprise. If they need help, they'll ask for it. Firestar shifted his paws. It's none of our business. Why not? J-Paw bristled with frustration. I haven't forgotten the last time you came to me with a dream, Firestar growled. It was not part of the warrior code to attack every clan that seems weak. J-Paw's ears burned. I never said anything about attacking them. We could help them. If ThunderClan helped now, RiverClan would be in their debt. Perhaps we could pay them a friendly visit, Leafpool suggested. No. Firestar was firm. We have our own clan to worry about. I don't know why StarClan can't send you dreams about us instead of announcing every other clan's problems. Leafpool took a step forward. You could send a patrol, though, just to see. If they stayed near the shore, it wouldn't break the... They live on the other side of the lake! Firestar cut her off. I think One Star has had enough of our meddling, and Black Star is always looking for an excuse to get even with ThunderClan. StarClan knows why. I'm tired of acting for the best and then finding I've only made ThunderClan the focus of every resentment and jealousy in the other clans. J-Paw felt disappointment pulse from his mentor. Her paws scuffled the earthen floors of the cave as she padded out. He followed her, scrabbling down the rock fall. Aren't you gonna argue with him? I tried, Leafpool sighed. But he has to listen to you. You're the medicine cat. He's the leader. Leafpool started to pat away. I want to check on Daisy, she meowed. You go and sleep. J-Paw flicked his tail. He wished his dream had been clearer. Then Firestar might have acted. Warm sunshine dappled his pelt as he padded towards the medicine den. He was tired after the long trek to the moon pool. He needed rest before he could think about what to do. J-Paw, wait! Hollypaw's voice rang from the apprentice den. She skidded to a halt beside him. Was Willowpaw there? Did you talk to her? No. J-Paw wanted to sleep, not chat. She wasn't there? Panic edged Hollypaw's mew. She was there. I just didn't talk to her. Did you find out anything? Perhaps Mothwing told Leafpool something. RiverClan is definitely in trouble, J-Paw mewed. What's wrong? How can you be sure? Hollypaw paced around him. I saw Willowpaw in a dream. She's worried that she has to find a new home. A new home? Hollypaw froze. That's dreadful. What's Firestar gonna do? Nothing, J-Paw reported. He doesn't want to interfere. But he must! Hollypaw gasped. RiverClan is in trouble. Firestar says it's their problem. J-Paw's pelt itched with annoyance as he remembered the way the clan leader had dismissed him. Again. So we have to stand by and watch? Look, I'm tired. J-Paw began to pad towards the medicine cat den. Go and argue with Firestar. He's the one that makes the decisions. He left Hollypaw, feeling her gaze follow him across the clearing, sensing the indignation prickling from her pelt, hearing the shift in her paws as she wondered whether to confront Firestar or not. It wasn't like Hollypaw to be so indecisive. Would she be more certain if he shared what he knew about the three cats who held the power of the stars in their paws? Not yet. Something held him back. Some pleasure in saving the knowledge for himself, some fear that speaking his destiny out loud might change it. Right now, all he wanted to do was rest his aching paws and sleep. Warrior worries. So true. Thank you so much for the follow, Mega Flower. And thank you for the lurk, Phil. Shoko bomb break. Quick. Between the chapters. Oh. Apparently today's pancake day. Wow! Chapter 4. I'm still really tired, J-Paw complained. Leafpool was leading him down to the lake, but sunhigh's the best time to collect mallow, when the leaves are dry. J-Paw yawned. His paws were still sore, and he felt as if he'd hardly closed his eyes before Leafpool nudged him awake. At least the day was warm. There was no chance of New Leaf being driven back by the long claws of Leaf Bear now. The sunshine striking through the new foliage was hot enough to make his pelt itch as they padded through the trees. Birds called to one another, and far off he could hear the shrieks of splashes of two legs playing in the water. J-Paw shivered, remembering his fall into the lake when Crowfeather had rescued him. He wasn't going to get his paws wet again if he could help it. Water babbled nearby. He had only been this way once before. A brook ran down out of the forest and into the lake, like the stream that led up to the moon pool. It carried the scent of the mountains. Leafpool led him along the edge, weaving around the trees that lined its path. The grass felt soft and cool on his pads, and he was sorry when Leafpool veered off the grassy bank and down onto the pebbly shore. The lake's higher than I'd hoped, she meowed, stopping. We won't be able to collect all the herbs I wanted, but I can see a clump over there. She darted away towards the sweet scent, and J-Paw began to pad after her. Suddenly, in the forest behind him, leaves fluttered and paw steps beat quick and light in the forest floor. A squirrel! Tiny paws skittered along the bank of the stream behind him and scampered up a tree, rustling its leaves. Then, splashing, a hunting patrol was plunging towards him, down the shallow stream. Did you hear where it went? Birchfell's excited mew sounded from the trees. J-Paw flicked his nose towards where the squirrel was leaping along a low branch. I'll get it! Pebbles rattled and water splashed as Mousepaw scooted from the stream and up the tree trunk. J-Paw ducked and blinked as shards of bark sprayed him, gouged out by Mousepaw's eager claws. The branch overhead creaked, and J-Paw heard a surprised squeal. But it wasn't the squirrel. It was Mousepaw. The apprentice tumbled off the branch and crashed into the pebbles beside J-Paw. Fox dung! Mousepaw scrambled to his paws, embarrassment flushing from his ruffled pelt. Catch it? J-Paw inquired. Leaves rustled above them as the squirrel made its getaway. Nice try! Spiderleg called from the stream. Next time I'll get it! Mousepaw called back to his mentor. The scent of the stream had confused J-Paw, but as the ThunderClan patrol clambered out, shaking water from their paws, he recognized their distinctive smells. Ashfur and Lionpaw were with Birchfall, Spiderleg, and Mousepaw. Lionpaw bounded down onto the shore. Hi, J-Paw! Good morning for hunting, J-Paw replied, flicking his brother's pelt with his tail. Mm-hmm. J-Paw stiffened, curious. Lionpaw was distracted, his mind not entirely on the hunt. What were you doing down there, J-Paw? Birchpaw called to the bank. I'm helping Leafpool collect herbs, J-Paw told him, nodding towards Leafpool, who was further down the shore, scuffling among the mallow stems. What's she doing? Lionpaw asked. Digging up mallow, J-Paw told him. Can you see any more of it about? There's a clump of it by an old stick over there. Lionpaw nudged his brother in the right direction. Look out, though. There are lots of twigs and lumps of wood washed up along the shore. Don't trip. Come on, Ashfur called impatiently. Let's get back to the hunt. Can you manage it? Lionpaw wound around J-Paw. Of course. Okay, see you later. Lionpaw bounded away, making the pebbles clatter. J-Paw listened to the patrol disappear back into the trees, envying his brother a little. In this weather, hunting would be way more fun than gathering leaves. He turned with a sigh towards the patch of mallow Lion Paw had spotted. He could smell it now, its sweet rose scent warmed by the sun. Carefully, he picked his way over the shore, avoiding the rubbish left washed up by the floodwater. He stretched out his nose, touching a mallow leaf and sniffing deeply. His front paw had bumped into something hard. Was this a stick Lion Paw had mentioned? He leaned down to sniff it and felt it smooth on his nose. The bark had been stripped away, the wood beneath it bone dry. It could not have been in the water long, or it would still be sodden despite the new leaf sunshine. J-Paw ran his paw over it. The exposed wood felt sleek beneath his pad. He could feel something odd, too. Scars scratched across the branch, too neat and regular to be natural. Some of them were crossed by other lines, like two paths going in different directions. "What's that?" Leafpool's voice close behind him made him jump. He'd been so absorbed that he hadn't heard her approach. "A stick?" With an effort, he rolled it from beneath the mallow plant where it was lodged. "Look at the lines." She sniffed it. "No scent," she commented. "From by the lake, I expect." "But the lines feel strange," J-Paw prompted. "They're too even." "You're right," Leafpool agreed. "I wonder what made them. A fox? Maybe a badger?" "They're too fine to be a badger or a fox." "Perhaps it's some two-leg thing," Leafpool suggested. She flicked her tail. "Come on, I'll dig up some roots from this plant to add to the others I've collected." J-Paw could smell the fishy stench of lake mud on her paws. "You start stripping off some leaves," Leafpool went on. "If you're lucky, they'll dry before the next rain." Why wasn't she more interested in the stick? They had never come across anything like this before. Reluctantly, J-Paw slid his paws from the branch. His pads felt warm where they had been touching it. He stripped a pawful of leaves from the mallow plant while Leafpool dug around a root and plucked it from the waterlogged earth with her teeth. "Let's get this stuff back to camp," she meowed. "I left the other roots over there." She bounded away. And J-Paw picked up the leaves with his teeth and began to head up the beach. He paused. What about the stick? He couldn't leave it lying where it was. It might get washed away. He dropped the mallow leaves, turned back, and began to roll the stick up away from the waterline with his paws. "We can't carry that home as well," Leafpool meowed, returning to his side. The root she was holding in her teeth muffled her mew. "But we can leave it somewhere safe. I want to come back and look at it again." "Okay, but hurry. I want to lay the leaves out while the sun's still warm." J-Paw tugged the stick, rolling it over on the pebbles and heaving it past lumps of wood and rubbish that cluttered the shore. At last, panting, he felt grass beneath his pelt. He had reached the bank that edged the stream. He felt around until he found a gap behind a twisted root and shoved the stick into it, hoping it would hold fast if the water rose more. A spark of anxiety flickered in his chest at the thought of losing the stick to the lake. "Come on!" Leafpool sounded impatient. J-Paw darted back to pick up the leaves he had dropped and followed her into the trees. His paws felt heavy and unease fluttered in his chest. Leaving the stick felt wrong. He wanted to understand why. "I'll be back," he promised. He's like a little kid that found a cool stick in the ground. "Wow, look at this stick! So cool!" Because if we were given a month, they would become too powerful. That is really, really, really true. Hi, Nostril, and hi, John! On chapter 5. A little snack. I'm gonna start chasing people with it. Oh no. He has too much power. He's too powerful. It's a stick gun! I'm gonna use it as a sword. Guys, we'll find a stick like that and go, heck yeah. Nice stick. Scream? Did I scream? I don't know about that. Chapter 5. Linepaw stiffened when he saw Hollypaw's eyes flash in the darkness, even though they had closed by the time he reached his nest. Hollypaw had been watching for him to slip back into the apprentice den. "It's okay," he hissed into her ear. "I only went to make dirt." He flexed his claws. Why did he have to explain every movement to her? She rolled over without replying. He curled down into his nest, his back to Hollypaw. Outside, the moon was high, the sky clear, the wind warm. He longed to sneak out of camp and meet Heatherpaw. She didn't want to watch him with that narrowed gaze, like she was waiting to prove he was a traitor to his clan. She knew they were just playing, not swapping clan secrets. Linepaw closed his eyes, anger like a hard knot in his belly. He buried himself into sleep. He began to dream. Hollypaw blinked at him. Her eyes shone from the darkness of a barrow. They were full of warmth and excitement, as they had been when they were playing as kits. Linepaw crept closer to the entrance. What was she doing there? "Hollypaw? I'm gonna get you," she mewed teasingly. So that was it. A game. Linepaw crouched and crept closer. Hollypaw twitched her whiskers mischievously, her amber eyes glittering in the darkness. Linepaw's blood turned to ice. Amber? Hollypaw's eyes were green. Linepaw stepped backwards. The eyes had lost their playful glint. They fixed onto him with a vicious stare. This wasn't Hollypaw. A growl sounded from the barrow. "Fox!" Linepaw tried to run, but his paws seemed to have turned to stone. Snarling, the creature shot out at him, teeth bared and red with blood. Linepaw woke and leaped to his feet. Pale light filtered through the branches of the den, speckling the sleeping cats. Hollypaw's head shot up. "Are you okay?" "Just a nightmare," Linepaw panted. Hollypaw leaned towards him. "What about?" "A fox," Linepaw breathed. "There are no foxes here." Cinderpaw patted from her nest and blinked encouragingly at him. Linepaw bristled. "Wasn't anywhere safe from this prying pair?" He barged past them. "I'm gonna get some food," he mewed, stalking out of the den. Brambleclaw was watching the camp from the high ledge. Firestar must be on patrol. Linepaw guessed Jaypaw was washing himself beside the half-rock that jutted from the earth on the far side of the clearing. He paused as Linepaw crossed the camp. "Are you okay?" Jaypaw tipped his head to one side. "I had a nightmare, that's all," Linepaw grumbled. He padded to the fresh kill pile, picked up a small, stiff mouse, and carried it back to Jaypaw. They shared it in silence. At least Jaypaw didn't seem to want to poke his nose into everything Linepaw had done in the last moon. "Lionpaw!" Ashfur padded out of the warrior's den. "We're training with Breakinfur and Hollypaw in the hollow this morning." "Oh, great! Can't I ever get away from her?" Thorn Barrier trembled as an early hunting patrol raced into camp. Firestar and Sandstorm were both holding prey in their jaws. Spiderleg and Mousepaw each carried a mouse, and Whitewing gripped a plump thrush between her teeth. "Everything all right?" Brambleclaw called down. Firestar dropped his prey on the fresh kill pile. "All quiet. And as you can see, the prey's running." Berrypaw was already at the fresh kill pile, sniffing the thrush Whitewing had dropped. He picked it up and carried it to the nursery. "Hi, Jaypaw!" Hollypaw was bounding across the clearing with Cinderpaw. "Any food left?" "You can eat later, Hollypaw." Breakinfur was pacing up and down the front of the camp entrance. "Training first." Linepaw gulped down the last of his mouse, feeling a twinge of satisfaction. Hollypaw had probably been gossiping about him. Serves her right if it means she goes hungry. He got to his paws and hurried towards Breakinfur. Ashfur bounded across the clearing to join them. "I'm starving," Hollypaw complained, catching up. "We'll hunt after battle training," Breakinfur promised. The Golden Warrior darted through the tunnel. Linepaw fell in beside Ashfur, leaving Hollypaw to hurry up after them. They padded to the training hollow in silence. Sun was slanting through the bright green leaves, and the air trembled with birdsong. Linepaw saw Hollypaw lick her lips. Ashfur sat down in the center of the hollow, his tail whisking over the mossy ground. "Today we're going to be thinking about how other clans fight, their strengths and weaknesses, and the best way to exploit them." "So, what strengths do the other cat clans have?" Breakinfur prompted. "River Clan can swim," Hollypaw mewed, "which means they can approach from the water. Wind Clan is well camouflaged and small, so they are hardest to detect. Lion Paw offered. Unless they're upwind, Holly Paw pointed out, in which case their rabbity scent gives them away. Lion Paw bristled with indignation. Heatherpaw didn't smell rabbity. What about Shadow Clan? Ashford asked. Well, they're just evil, Holly Paw growled, so you never know how low they'll snoop to any attack. That makes them unpredictable. And weaknesses? Breakenfur pressed. Shadow Clan is weak because they think they are braver than they actually are, Holly Paw mewed, and River Clan is so well fed that they're slower than us. Lion Paw shifted on his paws, searching for something to say. Holly Paw was answering everything first. Ashford glanced at him. What about Wind Clan? Lion Paw's mouth turned dry. Ashford's gaze seemed to be boring into his. Had Holly Paw told her mentor about his meetings with Heatherpaw? Lion Paw started to panic as he realized that all three cats were staring at him, waiting for his answer. His paws began to itch. Come on, I know this. Holly Paw rolled her eyes. Lion Paw thinks Wind Clan has no weaknesses. Her accusation made his ears burn with embarrassment. Why was she being so obvious? Was she reminding him she had the power to get him into big trouble? Anger rose in his throat. That's not true, he hissed. What's not true? Brambleclaw came padding down towards the slope, Berrypaw at his side. Lion Paw lifted his chin. Holly Paw's accusing me of favoring Wind Clan. Why would she do that? I was just teasing, Holly Paw mewed. Lion Paw's being touchy. He had a nightmare. Lion Paw lashed his tail. Was Holly Paw determined to make him look like an idiot? He'd show her. Wind Clan is fast, but not as strong as us because they don't have any trees to climb on the moorland, he growled, glaring at her. Good, Breakenfur nodded. You seem to know the basics. Let's practice some moves. First, let's try one that will work on a River Clan cat. Breakenfur darted under Ashfur's belly and nipped him on the hind leg. Ashfur rounded on him, ready for the counterattack, but Breakenfur had already shot out of reach. Ashfur leaped down towards him, but Breakenfur rolled out of the way, sprang to his paws, and launched himself onto Ashfur's back, unbalancing the Grey Warrior and sending him rolling onto his side. The two warriors jumped to their paws, shook the earth from their pelts, and turned to face their apprentices. Now, you two try, Ashfur meowed. Lion Paw. Breakenfur touched Lion Paw's flank with his tail. You be the River Clan cat because you're bigger and more powerful. Holly Paw, you try and unbalance him like I did with Ashfur. Holly Paw nodded. Don't make this easy for me. Her eyes were shining with determination. Don't worry, I won't. Lion Paw hissed through gritted teeth. Didn't she know how much she was annoying him? He felt her dart underneath him, felt her teeth graze his hind leg, but he wasn't going to let her get away as easily as Ashfur had done. He dropped his whole weight onto her before she could scamper free, then grasped her with his paws and tugged her over onto her side. Hey! She squealed. That's not how you're meant to do it. You should have been faster, Lion Paw spat. He began raking her spine with his hind claws while he gripped her shoulders with his forepaws. You're hurting me, Holly Paw shrieked, struggling to free herself. Lion Paw, stop. Brambleclaw's sharp command made Lion Paw freeze. Holly Paw slid from his grip and scrambled to her paws. Brambleclaw was staring down at Lion Paw, his eyes blazing. This is training. We don't want to hurt any cat. Lion Paw got to his paws. Sorry, he mewed. I got carried away. Holly Paw was lapping at the scratches Lion Paw had given her. He felt a wave of guilt for letting his temper get away from him. He hung his head. Sorry, Holly Paw, he murmured. The rage that had been seething in his belly all morning faded away. I'm really sorry. He glanced nervously at his father, expecting anger, but Brambleclaw's eyes were filled with concern. Will you two train Berrypaw and Holly Paw this morning? The ThunderClan deputy directed his request at Ashfur and Breakenfur. I'm going to take Lion Paw hunting. His pelt burning with shame, Lion Paw followed his father out of the training hollow. He braced himself for a lecture, but Brambleclaw only padded silently through the trees. I shouldn't have let my temper get the better of me, Lion Paw blurted out, deciding to get straight to the point. But she's been bugging me all morning. Still, Brambleclaw said nothing. I know there's no excuse, Lion Paw went on. It won't ever happen again. I know, Brambleclaw meowed. He stopped and gazed at Lion Paw. It's so unlike you. Tabby Warrior sighed. I've always relied on you to take care of your littermates. Lion Paw hung his head. He had let his father down. Is something worrying you? Brambleclaw asked. Something... The tabby warrior paused. Troubling you? He meowed at last. Linepaw knew he couldn't tell his father about Heatherpaw and how Hollypaw had stopped him from meeting her. It's just... He trailed off. How could he explain his anger? It feels like Hollypaw doesn't trust me to be a loyal warrior. Brambleclaw nodded. I know what that's like. He began padding through the trees again. Puzzled, Linepaw hurried after him. Being Tiger Star's son has meant I've had to win the trust of every thunderclad cat over and over. Brambleclaw went on quietly. So I know how frustrating it is when you have to prove something that shouldn't need proving. The leafy forest floor sloped upwards before them, and they sank their claws into the sweet-smelling earth to help them climb. The trouble is that everyone only saw evil in Tiger Star. They forgot what a bold and brilliant warrior he was. Linepaw pricked his ears. Was Brambleclaw defending Tiger Star? I haven't forgotten how Tiger Star betrayed his clan, Brambleclaw meowed, as if he had noticed Linepaw's surprise. But we all have strengths and weaknesses. It must be sad to be remembered only for your weaknesses. I hope I'll be remembered for my strengths instead. Of course you will be, Linepaw mewed. His fur prickled at the thought of his father being nothing but a memory. Every cat in the clan respects you. I wish that were true. What do you mean? I think there may be one clanmate who wishes me harm. The words came out in a whisper. Linepaw's heart lurched. Who? Brambleclaw shook his head. It's not important. Forget I said anything. But if there's some cat you can't trust... Brambleclaw cut him off. If you want to be remembered for your strengths, you must work on them. And if that means proving yourself to those who doubt you, then do it. You can't force Hollypaw to believe in you. You have to show her that you are worth believing in. Linepaw felt weariness weighing his paws. Why should he have to prove himself to Hollypaw? I haven't done anything wrong. Yes, you have, silly boy. Crack! A stone clattered against the wall of the camp and thumped onto the ground outside the apprentice's den. Linepaw lifted his head and blinked into the darkness. Was a rabbit foraging near the top of the hollow? Crack! Couldn't be a rabbit. The first clatter would have sent it flying into the forest. Curious, Linepaw got quietly to his paws. He glanced at Hollypaw. She was sound asleep. Thank you, Breakinfur. Hollypaw's mentor had taken her hunting deep into the forest. She had come back exhausted, her paws sore, but happily carrying 3 mice. Linepaw slipped past her nest and ducked out of the den. Crack! Thump! A pebble landed near his paws. He skirted backwards and looked up cautiously. 2 round eyes shone at him from the top of the cliff, then blinked. Someone was spying on the camp! Should he tell someone? He glanced around the empty moonlit clearing. No cat stirred. He didn't want to wake anyone until he was sure there was danger. It would look foolish if he called an alarm because some inquisitive fawn had discovered the hollow. He would investigate first and call the alarm if there really was any danger. Okay, I need to read whatever this thing wrote. Thank you for the follow, Pumpkin Patty! I have to read. Let's say, let's observe chat in its natural habitat. In the wilds of Nono's carnival chat, a greeting ritual unfolds with Nostril and Jarn displaying their digital plumage. Cordy Cap observes a peculiar behavior, the brandishing of stick guns, as Ash nods in primal understanding. Amidst the calm, Bio summons the scream counter, invoking Nono's voice twice into the ether. Huffanopic declares allegiancy to WindClan post-dairy consumption, while Coffee Streambot invites all to support the carnival's treasury. Wow. So fascinating. I'm only part of the WindClan after I consume dairy. Me too, though! Did Snicklefritz call me a caveman? He said you have primal instincts. Primal. Ooh, itchy, 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 itchy. Where were we? White Wing's pellet glowed at the camp entrance. She must be on guard. If there was trouble, he could call to her. Lionpaw slipped around the edge of the clearing and pushed his way among the brambles beside the medicine den. He knew he could climb the cliff behind them. Reaching up through the prickly branches, he felt the first ledge with his paw. I don't know why I'm so tired. Okay, I tried to clean the windows today, but it didn't really turn out very well. I mean, I cleaned them and they look cleaner, but they also have like streaks on them because of the parts I didn't clean very well. So that's sad. I need to find some sort of like way to break through the gross window grime. Stonks! Welcome back! Mostly we just read what Stinklefritz said. Quick question. Yes? Should I move to Stockholm? Why Stockholm in particular? Why not another place? Ooh, for a job. Is it a good job? Is it worth moving for the job? Will your life get turned upside down? Man, I need to take a shower. Oh, I need a shower. It's an okay job. It should pay decently. Well, it's ultimately up to you. But if it's kind of like the gateway job into what you want to be doing, then it might be worth a shot. If you're not gonna... like, if it's not gonna really, like, destroy everything, I mean, why not give it a shot? And if, while you're setting up to go, you start getting a really terrible dread and regret about your decision, you can always, like, stop, right? Have you been offered the job already? If they've offered you the job, then that's really good. So you're not, like, just going there and then you might be declined, you know? That would suck. Oh, you're applying! Okay, well, apply and then see if you get it. And then talk with them. If it's game design, then you might not even have to go there. You might be able to work remotely, right? Depending on what they need you for. I'm just a little worried about dragging the fiance with me across the world. Yeah. Yeah. See what happens. See how it turns out. See what your fiance also has to say. We ballin'. We ballin'. Water. Alright. Lionpaw slipped around the edge of the clearing and pushed his way among the brambles beside the medicine den. He knew he could climb the cliff behind them. Reaching up through the prickly branches, he felt the first ledge with his paws and hauled himself up. Then, moving carefully so as not to set grit showering down, he scrambled up from ledge to ledge until he finally pulled himself onto the grass at the top. Panting a little, he began to creep around the edge of the hollow. "Lion Paw!" a soft mew hissed from beneath the ferns ahead. He froze as Heatherpaw slipped out from beneath the arching fronds. "Thanks, Starkland, it's you." "Did you drop those pebbles?" Lionpaw stared at her in alarm. What if she was caught here? Is everything okay? "I had to see you." He felt a glow inside his chest. She was even braver than he thought, but he had to get her away from the camp. "Follow me," he hissed. He Harold off lakeward down the slope, but Heatherpaw didn't follow. "Come on!" Lionpaw begged, skidding around and looking back. Her eyes were shining. "Don't go that way. I've got something to show you." She turned and ducked away under the ferns. Lionpaw hurried after her. "Where are we going?" "Wait and see." She seemed to be headed towards the old fox den. Lionpaw slowed down. "Be careful," he warned. "It's okay," she told him. "There aren't any foxes." She paused in front of the thick brambles that crowded the bottom of the steep slope. "Wait here." She dived beneath them, and Lionpaw watched her tail disappear into the dense foliage, making the bushes tremble. Where was she going? An owl called in the branches above his head. Lionpaw fluffed out his fur and glanced around nervously. "Here!" Lionpaw looked up the steep slope and saw Heatherpaw blinking at him from the entrance to a small tunnel. "What are you doing in there?" "What are you doing in there?" It looked like a rabbit burrow. "You'll never believe what's inside. Come on!" Heatherpaw scooted backwards into the darkness. Paws prickling, Lionpaw squirmed under the brambles, wincing as the barbs tugged at his fur. He heaved himself up the slope, out of the thorny tangle, and paused at the burrow entrance. "Heatherpaw?" he called, his heart pounding. "Come inside!" Her mew echoed strangely from the shadows. Lionpaw squeezed in after her. The tunnel was pitch black. Crouching, he wriggled forward, damp earth pressing against his pelt. What was Heatherpaw up to? This place was hardly big enough for a rabbit, let alone a cat. Suddenly, he felt space around him, cold air washing over his fur. The tunnel had widened. Relieved, he straightened up and padded forward until he felt Heatherpaw's breath on his cheek. "It leads to a cave," she mewed. "There are loads of tunnels under this part of the hill, and one of them leads right to WindClan territory." Oh, snap. "How in the name of StarClan did you find it?" "Breezepaw sent me to catch some mice between the rocks just over the top of the moor, not far from camp. I had chased one down into a crack and realized the crack opened up into a tunnel. When I went inside, I found that there were tunnels leading everywhere." "Weren't you frightened of getting lost?" "I explored slowly at first, making sure I got to know each route really well before trying another. And then I found one that led to a cave. It's amazing. There's a hole in the roof where the light comes in. Then I found a way into your territory." Her mew was triumphant. "Isn't it wonderful?" Lionpaw could hardly believe his ears. "A tunnel from our territory to yours," he gasped. "That's fantastic. If there was an attack or a fire, ThunderClan could use it to escape." "No!" Heatherpaw's mew was sharp with frustration. "We mustn't tell anyone else. Don't you see? This can be our place." "Our place?" "We can meet here without anyone ever finding us. Even Hollypaw wouldn't guess where you're going." Lionpaw's whiskers twitched. Now he could meet Heatherpaw as much as he liked and no one would ever know. "That's a great idea. You're brilliant, Heatherpaw." She purred and rubbed her muzzle quickly along Lionpaw's cheek, then turned away. "Follow me. I'll show you the cave." Her paw steps disappeared into the darkness. Fear surged in Lionpaw's belly. He fought the urge to rush back out into the forest and began to follow Heatherpaw. The blackness pressed in on him, and suddenly he realized how Jaypaw must feel. He sniffed, searching for scents of fox or rabbit or even a badger, but smelled only damp earth. It was stale and musty, as though no creature had walked here for moons. How come no one else uses this place? He wondered. "I guess no one's been lucky enough to find it," Heatherpaw's mew echoed eerily up ahead. Someone must have discovered it. I've never smelled anything here except rock and water. Uneasiness tugged at Lionpaw's pelt, but it seems unlikely that we're the first. Suddenly, the tunnel brightened and opened into a large cave. Lionpaw stopped dead and stared around in astonishment. The rocky walls were lit by moonlight filtering through a small hole in the roof, just like Heatherpaw had said. The floor was smooth, dusty stone, rippled here and there as if giant paw prints had left their shape. And most amazing of all, a river wound across the floor and flowed away into a low, broad tunnel, disappearing into shadow. A river underground? How could that be? This is the place that was in the prologue. Isn't it brilliant? Heatherpaw leapt up onto the rocky ledge. It'll be like our own camp. We could be Dark Clan. I'll be the leader and you can be my deputy. Deputy? What if I wanted to be leader? Lionpaw objected, scrambling past her onto our high ledge. I found the place, so I'm the leader. Heatherpaw jumped at him and knocked him off his perch. Purring, Lionpaw landed lightly on the floor of the cave. Okay, Heather Star, he mewed. What's the plan? Lionpaw, wake up! Lionpaw felt a soft paw nudging him in the ribs. He jerked his head up, surprised to find rock walls surrounding him. Then he remembered. He was in the cave. Heatherpaw was sitting beside him, her eyes bleary with sleep. Look! She jerked her head towards the gap in the roof. We dozed off. The sky outside was pale with early morning light. Lionpaw leaped to his paws. I must go home! He stared anxiously at the many tunnels opening around the walls of the cave. Which one leads to ThunderClan? Heatherpaw padded to a narrow tunnel near the river's edge. This way. She flicked her tail towards a wider tunnel in the facing wall. I head up there. Her eyes glittered. Will you come again tomorrow? Yes. Lionpaw could hardly wait. If I can get away. Heatherpaw's farewell echoed behind him as he hurried away down the tunnel. His den mates must have noticed he wasn't in his nest. How would he explain it this time? Hollypaw was bound to be suspicious. He had to come up with a reason to be out of the camp this early, or there was no chance he would be able to meet Heatherpaw that night. The tunnel grew narrower around him, and something brushed his pelt. It must be the walls closing in. Had Heatherpaw remembered the right route? Panic started to rise in his chest. What if he couldn't find his way out again? Something else brushed his pelt. Didn't feel like earth. It felt softer, like the pelts of cats pressing against him. Alarm shot through him. He began to run, hurling into the blackness, fear crushing the breath from him. Lights glowed up ahead. Desperation and relief made his legs weak as he shot out of the hole. Dawn light flooded his eyes, making him blink as he glanced furtively around. No sign of any patrols. Ducking down, he scrambled under the brambles and began to run for home. I can't go back empty-pawed. The thought brought him sliding to a halt. A sparrow flitted overhead. No one can complain if I feed my clan. Lionpaw dropped into a hunting crouch. Still as a rock, he watched the sparrow flutter on the ground and waited as it hopped closer, fighting the urge to spring until it was within his reach. The leaves rustled as it bobbed nearer. Lionpaw kneaded the ground with his hind paws. One more hop. Got you! Springing forward quick as a snake, Lionpaw killed the bird with one swipe. He picked up the limp body with his teeth and bounded towards the camp. Hello, Lionpaw. White Wing was still guarding the entrance. I didn't see you go out. Lionpaw's mew was muffled by his mouth full of feathers. I went through the door page tomorrow. His tail pricked at the lie, but he had no choice. Looks like someone's gonna have a nice early breakfast, White Wing commented. Mm-hmm. Lionpaw nodded, whisking past her into the camp. Hollypaw was lying beside the half-rock with Jaypaw. She looked up as Lionpaw entered the camp. Flicking his tail at her, he dropped his catch onto the pile. You must have been up early. Jaypaw mewed as he clambered onto the smooth half-rock and began to wash. The birds make so much noise. I'm surprised you can sleep through them. Lionpaw replied, thinking fast. Hollypaw narrowed her eyes. After the hunt with Brakenfur took me on yesterday, I'd have slept through anything. Lionpaw wiped the paw over one ear. Inside, his stomach was a hard knot. He hated lying. He wasn't doing any harm by playing with Heatherpaw, but he knew his clanmates wouldn't see it like that. I'm loyal to my clan. Linepod told himself. I shouldn't have to prove it. But still, the bitter taste of his lies stung in his throat. I think I just got an email from our condo place talking about lights. Hold on. Please ensure balcony lighting, including the decorative patio lighting, is turned off at night. There's been an influx of complaints regarding patio lights being left on and affecting people's sleep. Wow. Baffling. I was worried that she was gonna say like, no more lights on the patios. No more of that nonsensory. Cause we got like a form the other week, and it was like, this is a reminder that you can only have outdoor furniture and a barbecue in your solarium and your patio, like, and then they said these are things that shouldn't be on it, furniture or like office furniture, cat posts, and other things like that, and we were all like, what the heck? Like, why? It's our patio. Why does it matter? When we signed the agreement for the condo, they only really said, like, don't put your laundry out to dry. You know, like, don't have that displayed, and don't have weird curtains. That was all what they said, and now they're making up these dang rules about condo furniture and etc. Anyways, we're not listening to them. We're not doing that. Chapter 6. What time is it? Well, we didn't read much today, but I am pretty tired, and I think I need to go take a shower and shop. If they want to complain, just bring up the documents. True. Real. You're right. We can bring up the documents and show them the proof. Chapter 6. Holly Paw yawned and stretched in the den entrance. The early morning sun felt warm on her paws. She looked over her shoulder. Linepaw was still asleep in his nest. Cinderpaw was already at the fresh kill pile. Anything there? Hollypaw called to her friend. Only a mouse. Cinderpaw pawed it uncertainly. A bit stale, but not too bad. Hollypaw patted towards her. Perhaps we should see if Daisy wants it for her kits first. No, thank you. Daisy was sunning herself outside the nursery while Ferncloud's kits trembled around her. They can wait for the Dawn Patrol to return and have something warm and fresh. I don't mind eating a stale mouse, Foxkit offered. No, Daisy mewed. You've got a cold. Only warm food for you. But I'm hungry. Greedy, more like it, Ice Kit teased. The fluffy white kit cuffed her brother around his ear. He turned on her at once and pounced. She squealed and pummeled him with her hind legs. Daisy moved her tail out of the way as they rolled past her. It'll be a relief when they've moved into the apprentice stand, she mewed. Hollypaw knew that she didn't mean it. Ferncloud would move back into the warrior's den, and Daisy would be alone in the empty nursery. She'd always made it clear she wasn't cut out to be a warrior, but without kits to nurse, what would she be? Hopefully the spring would bring a new litter. Hollypaw, Cinderpaw! Leafpool was looking out from the elder's den. Come and clean out the bedding in here. Okay! Cinderpaw bounded over to her, abandoning the mouse. I'll get fresh moss! Hollypaw knew that Leafpool kept a fresh stock beside the medicine den. She raced to grab a wad of it, then carried it to the elder's den. The honeysuckle that trailed over the elder bush where Longtail and Mouse first slept was bright with new leaf. Fresh tendrils swayed in the light breeze. Buds were forming that would flower come Greenleaf and fill the hollow with a wonderful smell. Hollypaw ducked inside and dropped the moss. Cinderpaw was already busy scrabbling through the bedding, bundling out the stale bits. Leafpool looked up from where she was crouching at Longtail's side. Longtail has an infected tick bite. The tangy aroma of herbs filled the den. I'm putting a poultice on it, but I want the bedding freshened up so he doesn't get another one. Okay. Hollypaw nodded. Mousefur sat up stiffly.
Good to see No Leaf again.
Longtail winced as Leafpool washed more herbs onto his wound.
Forest smells good, he meowed. I've been thinking about going out.
Hollypaw blinked in surprise. Since he had lost his sight, Longtail rarely left camp.
Only if I can come with you,
Mousefur croaked.
You'll need someone to keep an eye out for foxes.
Foxes! Hollypaw tucked her tail close to her. Cinderpaw tossed a wad of moss towards the entrance. Foxes aren't that bad. Aren't that bad? Hollypaw gasped. What about the ones that chased me? They almost had my tail. You were only a kit, Cinderpaw pointed out. They wouldn't seem so scary if you met them now. Hollypaw wasn't convinced. Foxes are just nuisances, Cinderpaw went on. It's badgers you have to watch out for. The gray tabby's eyes grew wide. They are terrifying. The fur along her spine rippled. I hope I never meet another one as long as I live. Another badger? Hollypaw sat up. You've never even met one. Cinderpaw tipped her head to one side. Confusion clouded her gaze. You're right. She reached out and tugged some stale moss from Mousefur. I must have dreamt it. Cinderpaw could be so mouse-brained. As Hollypaw began to reach for fresh moss, she noted Leafpool staring at Cinderpaw. The medicine cat's mouth was open as though frozen mid-lick. What had surprised her so much? It wasn't the first time Cinderpaw had been muddled. Longtail started to fidget.
Have you finished, Leafpool?
No. Leafpool bent her head quickly. Hold still. I'm nearly done. Firestar's call sounded from outside the den. Let all cats old enough to catch their own prey gather here beneath the high ledge.
A clan meeting?
Mousefur narrowed her eyes.
I hope everything's okay.
She got up slowly. Hollypaw glanced at Cinderpaw, excitement fluttering in her chest. Had something happened? She darted out of the den ahead of the others and saw Firestar leaping down the tumble of rocks from the high ledge. The fresh kill pile was well stocked. The Dawn Patrol's back, Hollypaw whispered to Cinderpaw as her friend caught up. Perhaps they've brought news. Stormfur and Brook settled at the edge of the clearing. Graystripe and Millie padded out from behind the warrior's den. Brambleclaw and Squirrelflight sat out in the shadow of the high ledge, while Lionpaw padded after Ashfur and settled beside his mentor. Daisy stayed by the nursery, whisking Ice Kid and Foxkid back with her tail as they tried to see what was happening. Once the clan had settled, Firestar sat down in the center of the clearing. He gazed around, his eyes shining. It doesn't look like anything bad, Hollypaw murmured to Cinderpaw. There's something I've wanted to do for a while, Firestar began, and now that New Leaf is here, it seems like a good time for new beginnings. Hollypaw leaned forward excitedly. It is time Millie became a ThunderClan warrior. Hollypaw froze. Millie had been a kitty pet when Graystripe had met her. He'd given her some warrior training and she'd helped him on the long journey back to his clan. But did that make her a warrior? Hollypaw didn't even know if Millie believed in StarClan. Mews of approval rippled around the edge of the clearing. About time, Whitewing called. Birchfall kneaded the ground. She has the heart of a warrior. Hollypaw stared at them in surprise. Surely it wasn't that simple. The daylight gathering had helped smooth the ruffled fur of the other clans, but making a kitty fed a warrior? Wouldn't that stir up hostility again? Millie was a good hunter and had proven her bravery and loyalty in battle, but to make her a ThunderClan warrior... Millie? Firestar beckoned the striped gray tabby. She stepped forward, chin high. Hollypaw couldn't help admiring her, and yet she had never trained as an apprentice. How could she possibly have a warrior name? Hollypaw felt her chest tighten with anxiety. You have fought bravely in battle, Firestar meowed. You have made sure that the clan has been fed through bitter leaf bear. No cat here doubts your loyalty or your skills. You have earned a warrior name. Earn the warrior name I give you. He paused for a moment. From this day on, you shall be known as... Wait! Mews of surprise rippled among the clan as Millie interrupted Firestar. She gazed steadily around the cats, her blue eyes glowing. I'm privileged to be considered a ThunderClan warrior, she meowed. I could ask for no greater honor, and I am grateful to Graystripe for rescuing me from my life as a kitty pet. She blinked warmly at her mate. If I'd stayed my whole life as a two-legged companion, it would have only been a half a life, but... Graystripe stepped forward. Millie? His eyes were clouded with anxiety. You're not gonna leave, are you?
Never.
Millie patted towards him and brushed her muzzle against his. Then she turned back to Firestar. You can rely on my loyalty until the day I join StarClan. And you must believe that I will live and die to protect ThunderClan. But I don't want to change my name. I've always been Millie, and I see no shame in it. A shocked silence gripped the clan. Astro flicked his tail. Sandstorm narrowed her eyes, studying the former kitty pet. Brambleclaw's whiskers twitched. Graystripe lifted his chin. Millie is right. It doesn't matter what she's called. It only matters how she acts, and I know that she will always put her clan first. Hollypaw watched Firestar, wondering what he would do. The ThunderClan leader shifted in his paws uneasily, glancing from Graystripe to Millie. Suddenly, another mew sounded. May I speak? Hollypaw spun around. Daisy was padding forward. The cream-colored queen slid between Spiderleg and Birchfall and stepped into the center of the clearing. Hollypaw pricked her ears. Daisy had never spoken in a clan meeting before. I'm glad Millie has chosen to keep her name. The she-cat began. Her soft mew trembled a little. I am no warrior, but I am a ThunderClan cat. I stay in the nursery rather than hunt and fight because that is what I do best. I care for our young as though each kit were my own. This is my gift to the clan, but I do it on my own chosen name. She's right. Brooke stepped forward. My loyalty lies with ThunderClan, but I would never give up the name given to me by the tribe. Stormfur padded forward and ran his tail along his mate's flank. Is there any cat who would not trust Millie or Daisy or Brooke to fight on their side? He stared challengingly around the clan. No! Graystripe led the call, and Brambleclaw, Cloudtail, Whitewing, and the others quickly took it up. Daisy's kits, Breezepaw, Hazelpaw, and Mousepaw cheered loudest of all. Hollypaw watched uneasily. Suddenly, Thornclaw's mew rose above the others. Stop!
What would the other clans say if they could see us now?
Dustpelt nodded.
ShadowClan has already tried to take territory from us because we are no longer a pure forest-born clan.
Spiderleg narrowed his eyes. Naming ceremonies are part of the warrior code. Can we ignore them and still keep the respect of other clans? Hollypaw swept her tail over the ground. Dustpelt and Spiderleg were right. Millie, Daisy, and Brooke were important to the clan, but unless they accepted all the customs of the clan, how could they truly be part of it? Firestar's eyes flashed. Silence! He snapped. Don't forget, you're talking about your clanmates. I invited Daisy, Brooke, and Millie to join ThunderClan because they make us stronger. He glanced around the clearing. You are happy to eat the fresh kill, and you have them to have them fight beside you. Do you want me to throw them out because they have the wrong names? Do you want the other clans to tell us what to do? Of course not, Graystripe meowed. Millie and Brooke are warriors already, Brambleclaw put in. Names make no difference. That's not true. Hollypaw dug her claws into the earth. They had not had proper naming ceremonies. The clan was ignoring a ritual that had been followed for countless moons. What would StarClan think? We must live by the warrior code. She stared at Thornclaw, willing him to speak, but he only dipped his head to their leader. Firestar blinked at him and turned once more to Millie. You may keep your name. We have seen your courage in battle and your skills in hunting. You are ThunderClan now. May StarClan recognize you as a true warrior. ThunderClan! ThunderClan! Birchfall began to chant, and the others quickly joined in. Hollypaw watched in silence, noticing Dustpelt and Thornclaw exchange anxious glances. Don't you feel like cheering? Squirrelflight had weaved her way to Hollypaw's side. Hollypaw's whiskers quivered. What if StarClan doesn't recognize her as a true warrior? Do you really think StarClan is narrow-minded? Squirrelflight murmured. We have the warrior code for a reason, and this goes against it. Hollypaw's fur rippled along her spine. Brambleclaw should have spoken out. He knows how important it is to follow the code. Squirrelflight smoothed Hollypaw's fur with her tail. Brambleclaw's a deputy now. He must support Firestar. Her green eyes glittered. And don't forget that Firestar was a kitty pet once. But he still took on a warrior name. Hollypaw mewed hotly. He followed the warrior path and trained as an apprentice. The cheers were dying away as cats began to return to their duties. He never tried to change the warrior code. Hollypaw! Brakenfur's mew jerked her from her thoughts. It was standing beside Cloudtail and Spiderleg. Their apprentices, Cinderpaw and Mousepaw, were pacing back and forth. It's time we assess your progress, Breakenfur told her. I want you, Cinderpaw, and Mousepaw to go hunting. Catch as much prey as you can. Squirrelflight's eyes glowed. An assessment already? Hollypaw forgot her unease, excitement pulsing through her pulp. At last she would have a chance to show everything she had learned. Breakenfur flicked his tail. Don't forget, I'll be watching, out of sight. Good luck! As Squirrelflight padded away, nerves fluttered in Hollypaw's belly. What if she let Breakenfur down? No, she wouldn't let that happen. Mousepaw and Cinderpaw hurried to join her. I don't know who I want to impress more, Cloudtail or Breakenfur. Cinderpaw glanced anxiously at the two warriors. Breakenfur was her father. I'm gonna show Spiderleg that I really can catch a squirrel, Mousepaw vowed.
You may as well start now.
Cloudtail patted over.
You must each hunt alone. We'll be keeping an eye on you, so do your best.
Of course we will, Hollypaw promised. Cinderpaw shot away, Mousepaw hurrying after her. Hollypaw caught up with them as they raced through the thorn tunnel, each pushing to be the first out. Hollypaw had never hunted alone before. Her whiskers twitched with anticipation. Where are you gonna hunt? She asked as they burst out of camp. I'm hunting by the stream near ShadowClan border, Cinderpaw announced. There's always prey there. It's a bit open, isn't it? Hollypaw mewed. I'm good at jumping, Cinderpaw reminded her. Even in the open, the prey won't see me coming till it's too late. I think I'll stick to the undergrowth, Hollypaw decided. I prefer stalking my prey. She glanced at Mousepaw. What about you? I'm with you, he announced. Undergrowth is easier, but once I've caught a couple of mice, I'm gonna get a squirrel. Come on then. Cinderpaw charged up the slope away from the camp. Hollypaw and Mousepaw sped after her, leaves fluttering in their wake. As they neared the stream, Cinderpaw veered away towards the bank. Hollypaw headed for a small dip where the ferns grew thickly, and Mousepaw bounded away in the other direction. Hollypaw halted at the edge of the dip. Steadying her breath, she dropped into a hunting crouch and crept down the slope. She wound her way through the thick fern stems, careful not to set any of them rustling. Is Breakenfur watching me already? She wondered as she drew herself forward, one slow paw step at a time. Don't think about that. Concentrate on the hunt. She focused her senses on the foliage ahead, opening her mouth slightly to taste the breeze. Rabbit scent hung stale in the air, but the smell of mouse was still fresh. Good. She halted and pricked her ears. The ferns were shivering up ahead. Narrowing her eyes, she peered through the lush stalks and saw a small brown shape dart across the leafy earth. A shrew! It began rooting among the leafy litter. She crept closer. The shrew stiffened. How stung! Her tail had brushed against a leaf. The shrew glanced around. Don't move! Hollypaw held her breath and pressed her tail to the ground. The shrew began to rummage again. Good, it's busy looking for food. Moving as slowly as a snail, Hollypaw drew herself forward. The shrew went on rummaging. One more paw step. A twig cracked beneath her paws. The shrew darted away. Hollypaw sprung and shot out of her forepaws, catching the shrew in her claws before it had time to escape. One quick nip on the back of the neck and it was dead. Heart pounding, she carried it to the roots of a beech and buried it quickly before turning back for her next catch. Before long, she had caught another shrew and a mouse. As she safely buried the last of her catch beneath the beech, she saw golden fur flash among the brambles at the top of the slope. How long had Breakenfur been watching her? She hoped he was impressed. Ferns rustled and Mousepaw exploded from the woods behind her. I've caught my 2 mice, the gray and white Tom declared. Now for that squirrel. Shh, Hollypaw snapped. You'll scare the prey away. Sorry. Mousefur flicked his tail. Are you still hunting? I think I've got enough, Hollypaw conceded. Any sign of Cinderpaw? Mousepaw asked. I hope she's doing okay. I'm doing fine. Cinderpaw emerged from the ferns, 4 water voles dangling by their tails from her jaws. She dropped them next to Hollypaw. Can I bury them with yours? Won't they get mixed up? Cloudtail already knows what I caught. Have you spoken to him? Hollypaw was surprised. Mentors weren't meant to help in their assessment. Of course not, Cinderpaw assured her, but I could see him watching the whole time. It's hard to hide in anything but snow with a pelt as white as his. She purred with amusement. Mousepaw's still determined to catch a squirrel, Hollypaw told her. Really? Cinderpaw stared at the gray and white Tom in surprise. Didn't you get enough mice? I got plenty, Mousepaw mewed indignantly. I just want to show Spiderleg I can catch squirrels, too. There's usually some upstream, Hollypaw suggested. I think I'll climb the sky oak, Mousepaw announced. No way! Cinderpaw looked amazed. It's the tallest tree in the forest. Thank you, Hoff! And thank you so much for the follow. I'm glad that you enjoyed this relaxing stream. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye! Bye! There'll be squirrels in other trees, Hollypaw cautioned. Mousepaw was Daisy's kit, born outside the clan, and keen to impress his clanmates. But surely after the latest clan meeting, he shouldn't feel like he had anything to prove. I'm gonna climb the sky oak, Mousepaw insisted. I've been practicing and I want Spiderleg to see how good I am now. Wow, Cinderpaw breathed. That's brave. Come on. Mousepaw darted among the trees. Cinderpaw, kicking up leaves, scooted after him. Hollypaw glanced once more at the beach to make sure she would remember where she had buried her catch and raced after them. At the base of the sky oak, Hollypaw gazed up through the branches. The trunk seemed to stretch up forever, the blue sky glinting between the bright green leaves. Mousepaw was staring up too, and Hollypaw felt sure she saw his tail tremble. You're scared, Cinderpaw teased. Hollypaw dug her claws into the earth. Don't dare him into doing something he doesn't want to do. Why not just catch a few mice instead? She suggested. There'll be plenty around here. The furlong Mousepaw's spine was spiked up like a hedgehog. No, I'm gonna catch a squirrel, he muttered determinedly. He sprang up and stretched out his forelegs to grip the wide trunk with his claws. Dragging himself upward, he managed to clamber onto the lowest branch. There, he called. Easy. He looked up, searching for his next perch. Hollypaw suddenly heard paw steps pounding towards them. Mousepaw! Brakenfur hurled out of the trees. He was panting and his eyes were wide with alarm. Get down! Spiderleg skidded after him. Leave him alone, he snapped at Brakenfur. If he wants to do it, let him. Cloudtail padded out of the trees. I thought we weren't meant to help. He stopped when he spotted Mousepaw scrambling up to the next branch. I really think you should tell him to come down, Brakenfur advised. Are you saying my apprentice isn't good enough? Spiderleg flattened his ears. He's still young, Brakenfur argued. I wouldn't let Hollypaw climb it. Hollypaw's not been training as long as Mousepaw, Spiderleg pointed out. Look, it's easy, Mousepaw called. The branches were close together now, and he was leaping nimbly upward. Not too high, though, Spiderleg cautioned. Even he was beginning to look worried as Mousepaw hopped from branch to branch. Leaves rustled just above him. A squirrel was scrambling up the tree. Look! Cinderpaw called excitedly. There's one! Mousepaw darted after it. Hollypaw's neck began to ache from looking up. She could see leaves shivering far above as the squirrel kept climbing, staying just a few tail lengths up ahead of Mousepaw, almost as if it were enticing him upwards. Be careful, Mousepaw. Suddenly, the squirrel leapt out of the sky oak and landed into the tree next to it, sending twigs showering down. Mousepaw froze. He was so far away he looked like the size of a mouse, but even from this distance, Hollypaw could see that his fur was brushed out from nose to tail tip. The gray and white apprentice was terrified. Good try, you may as well come down now, Spiderleg called encouragingly. I can't! Mousepaw's mew came out as a squeak. I'm stuck! Brakenfur sighed. What are we gonna do now? I can go up after him, Cloudtail offered. Every cat knew he was one of the best climbers in the clan. He's not going to be able to get himself down, Spiderleg agreed. I'll fetch him, mewed Cinderpaw. Wait! Hollypaw yelped as the gray apprentice began to scramble up the tree trunk. Get down at once! Brakenfur hissed at his daughter. Cinderpaw paused on the lowest branch. But I can see an easy route to get him down, she argued. Cloudtail exchanged worried glances with Brakenfur. Thank you so much for the follow, Nitier. I'll go slowly, Cinderpaw promised when they didn't say anything. And if I feel like I'm getting too high, I'll stop. Brakenfur nodded. Okay, but be careful. Cautiously, Cinderpaw began to climb the tree, taking her time between jumps, making sure that she only reached up a little at a time. Hollypaw watched her, mouth dry. She'll be all right, she told herself again and again. She felt Brakenford trembling beside her. He was watching Cinderpaw with round, frightened eyes. She's nearly reached him, Cloudtail reported. Cinderpaw was only a few branches from her den mate now. Mousepaw was watching her, his fur slowly flattening. It's okay, Mousepaw, Cinderpaw called up to him. There's nothing to be frightened of. Hollypaw held her breath as Cinderpaw began to guide Mousepaw down, one branch at a time. That's it, Cinderpaw mewed. The next branch is really close. Just make sure you grip with your claws and you'll be fine. The two cats were easier to see now, getting closer and closer to safety with every uneasy jump. They're gonna make it! Suddenly, a bird shrieked and flapped out of the tree just below them. Mousepaw squealed in shock and slipped from the branch. Quick as a flash, Cinderpaw lunged forward and reached for him. She caught him and hauled him back up onto the branch, her hind legs scrambling for a hold. Mousepaw grabbed at the branch and clung to the bark, his tail lashing in panic. Relief flooded Hollypaw. Then she saw Cinderpaw wobble. The gray tabby's hind paws were slipping over the back of the branch. Her forepaws churned desperately in the air. With a yelp, she slid over the edge and fell. Hollypaw stared in horror as Cinderpaw dropped through the leaves like a stone and landed with a sickening thud. No! Brakenford's mew cracked as he darted forward. Cinderpaw! Cinderpaw! He crouched over the limp body, lying awkwardly on the ground. Get Leafpool! Spiderleg hissed in Hollypaw's ear. Hollypaw glanced once more at her friend's twisted body before hurling through the trees. Cinderpaw can't be dead. She mustn't be dead. Gasp.
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
All right. Okay, I kind of want to read one more chapter because it's a J-Paw chapter, and I love J-Paw. You know how it is with the J-Paw. One more chapter, and then maybe we'll be at a good time, too. We'll have read, like, almost 100 pages, if not 100 pages. Just kidding, we won't have read 100 pages. But we'd be close. Okay, one more chapter. Chapter 7. Ow! Birchfell snatched his paw away from J-Paw. J-Paw sighed. If I don't get the thorn out, it's gonna hurt a lot more. Tentatively, Birchfell held out his paw again. J-Paw leaned down and grasped the fat end of the thorn between his teeth. It's not that big, he muttered out of the side of his mouth. That's because most of it is buried in my paw, Birchfell complained. It's amazing I made it back to camp at all. J-Paw braced himself and gave a fierce tug. Ow! Birchfell leapt away, then hopped noisily around the medicine den. J-Paw dropped the thorn, spitting to get rid of the taste of blood. I told you it was huge, Birchfell meowed triumphantly. J-Paw touched it with his pad. The curved barb felt like a claw. Not exactly deadly, though, he mewed. Birchfell lapped at his wound. You're not very sympathetic for a medicine cat. I'm here to heal you. If you want sympathy, go to the nursery. J-Paw padded to the back of his den. Warriors! They might be brave in battle, but one thorn and they squeal like kits. He picked up a mouthful of marigold and began to chew up the leaves into a pulp. A poultice would make sure Birchfell's paw didn't get infected. Suddenly, he stiffened. Paws were pounding towards the camp. He tasted the air. Hollypaw's fear scent hit the back of his throat. Here, wash this into the cut. He dropped the pulp at Birchfell's paws and pushed through the trembling brambles that screened the den from the rest of the camp. Hollypaw exploded into camp. Cinderpaw's fallen out of the sky oak! J-Paw gasped. I'll fetch Leafpool. He pelted for the nursery where she was tending to Foxkit's cold. But Leafpool was already racing out. Cinderpaw? J-Paw skidded to a halt, narrowly avoiding her. She stopped, trembling in the middle of the clearing. Horror pulsed her from blood, like blood from a wound. No, not again! No, not again. Her silent plea sliced into J-Paw's thoughts, as clear as if she'd cried out loud. You have to come at once! Hollypaw wailed. What's happening? Firestar pounded across the clearing. Paw steps sounded on every side as the clan came running to see what was wrong. Cinderpaw was helping Mousepaw down the sky oak and she fell. Hollypaw's words came out in great gulps. Leafpool, go to her. Firestar ordered. Come on! J-Paw willed his mentor to move, but she seemed rooted in the spot, her terror blocking out every other thought. What herbs will we need? He prompted. He could feel Hollypaw trembling behind him. Poppy seeds? he pressed when Leafpool didn't answer. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm him, Leafpool snapped out of her daze. He felt her mind clear, like rain lifting. But poppy seeds, yes. Rushes and cobwebs to bind any broken legs, and time for the shock. I'll fetch them, J-Paw offered. Please hurry, Hollypaw begged. Who's with her? Leafpool demanded. Mousepaw, Ashfur, Cloudtail, and Brakenfur. When did Ashfur get there? Oh, that's a typo. It's not Ashfur. She meant Spiderleg. Dang, the typos are getting really bad in the new series. Like, that's like, they just messed. That's a whole other cat, bruh. Good, she'll need carrying. J-Paw pushed past Millie and Graystripe and raced to the medicine den, his tail bristling. He barged past Birchfall standing, fur spiked in the entrance, and darted to the herb storeroom. Lapping up several poppy seeds, he tucked them safely under his tongue, then grabbed a spring of thyme and quickly wrapped it up in a fat wad of cobweb along with a paw full of rushes. He picked up the bundle in his jaws and hurled back into the clearing. Got everything? Leafpool asked. J-Paw nodded. Hurry! Hollypaw called. She led them out of camp in a run. The forest floor felt soft beneath J-Paw's pads. Hollypaw plunged up a slope, Leafpool on her heels. J-Paw ran after them, every sense alert, dodging the trees only by a whisker. A bramble tugged at his paws as he stumbled forward, dropping his bundle. Here, I'll carry that. Leafpool turned and swiftly picked up the rushes before speeding away again. J-Paw hurried after her, keeping close, following her paw steps as she weaved through the forest. I see the sky oak, Hollypaw called. Her paws beat faster against the ground. Watch out for the fallen tree, she warned. Her paw steps fell silent as she leapt over the log and landed with a thump on the other side. Leafpool followed her. J-Paw didn't hesitate. Tensing, he leapt as high as he could, praying he had timed it right. He felt the rotting bark of fallen tree branch brush his paws as he sailed over and landed lightly on the ground beyond. Over here! Hollypaw had reached the others. J-Paw felt Brakenfur's panic flash like lightning from his pelt. He could hear Ashfur pacing around the sky oak. Could sense Mousepaw's trembling. It's not Ashfur! It's Spiderleg! Did they just straight up... They replaced Spiderleg completely with Ashfur? She's still breathing, Cloudtail called. Good. Leafpool dropped the bundle. J-Paw crouched beside her as she leaned over Cinderpaw. He could hear the injured apprentice breathing. It was quick and shallow. He touched her flank with his nose. She was limp as a dead mouse. His belly tightened. She's in shock, Leafpool pronounced. Lick her chest while I give her time. J-Paw spat out the poppy seeds and began to lick Cinderpaw. Her heart beat rapidly beneath his tongue. He smelt the herbs as Leafpool tore open the bundle and chewed the leaves into a pulp that she could drip into Cinderpaw's mouth. Is she gonna die? Brakenfur's mew trembled. I won't let her. Leafpool snapped. The medicine cat moved around Cinderpaw's other side. Lick more gently now, she ordered. J-Paw began to lap Cinderpaw delicately, relieved to feel her heart slowing. He could hear Leafpool sniffing Cinderpaw's body, examining her. Suddenly, the medicine cat stiffened. What's wrong? J-Paw whispered. Leafpool backed away as though stung by a wasp. What's the matter? Brakenfur surged forward, nearly knocking J-Paw over. What had frightened Leafpool so much? J-Paw stopped looking and searched her mind. He felt dread like there was darkness, threatening to overwhelm her. What could be so bad? She's broken a hind leg, Leafpool gulped. We can bind it with rushes, J-Paw suggested. Leafpaw didn't reply. Not again! Fear and bewilderment sparked from Brakenfur. She won't die of a broken leg, will she? Leafpool didn't move. J-Paw focused on her mind, saw an image of a gray cat limping, felt grief scar Leafpool's heart. Here! J-Paw tugged one of the rushes free. He jabbed it at Leafpool. She jerked and then took it. J-Paw felt a wave of relief as she laid it beside Cinderpaw's broken leg and took another. He passed her the cobweb, and she carefully began to bind the rushes to Cinderpaw's leg. We need to secure it until we can get her back to camp, Leafpool murmured. Then I can set the brake properly. When she had finished, Leafpool sat up. Ashfur, Spiderleg, Cloudtail, You help Breakenford carry her back to camp and make sure her leg moves as little as possible. Cinderpaw let out a soft moan as Breakenford, Cloudtail, and Spiderleg lifted her. Careful! Leafpool gasped. J-Paw could hear her paw steps dancing around the warriors, pushing aside brambles, fear sparking from her pelt. Watch the roots! Take her around the fallen tree! Avoid that dip! Hold her more steadily! Hollypop pressed up against him. She was trembling. I thought she was dead, she murmured. She's gonna be okay, J-Paw reassured her. She's got a strong heart, and it's only her leg that's broken. Only her leg! Leafpool's sharp mew took him by surprise. A warrior needs 4 good legs! Hollypop pressed her muzzle to J-Paw's ear. I've never seen her so upset, she whispered. J-Paw shook his head. Me neither. He leaned against Hollypaw, letting her guide him through the undergrowth. He wanted to focus his attention on Leafpool. He could feel panic, anger, and regret seething in the medicine cat's mind. Why? She hadn't pushed Cinderpaw out of the tree. It was just an accident. Why did Leafpool feel so responsible? Cinderpaw's fur swished against the sandy floor as the 3 warriors laid her gently down in the medicine den. Sorreltail was in the den already, plucking at the ground with trembling paws. Grief and fear crackled from her pelt. Poppypaw and Honeypaw fidgeted beside Hollypaw, breathing in frightened gulps. Thank you. Leafpool mewed briskly to Breakenfur, Cloudtail, and Spiderleg. Leave us now. But Breakenfur began to protest, but Sorreltail interrupted him. Softly. I'll stay with her. The brambles rustled as the Tom followed Spiderleg and Cloudtail out. J-Paw bent down and licked Cinderpaw between her ears. She was unconscious again. We'll take care of you, he promised. He felt Hollypaw's gaze on his pelt. You'd better go, he advised her. Firestar's waiting. He could sense the ThunderClan leader's heavy presence outside the den. He'll want to know what happened. You'll make her better, Hollypaw mewed. We'll try. As Hollypaw padded from the den, Leafpool murmured to Sorreltail, I'll do everything in my power to make her well. I know you will. Sorreltail's voice cracked with grief, but J-Paw could still hear affection in her mew. She had been Leafpool's best friend since before he was born. Sorreltail's breath ruffled Cinderpaw's pelt. May StarClan protect you, she whispered. She'll be all right, won't she? Honeypaw's frightened mew sounded beside Sorreltail. Don't let her die, Poppypaw sobbed. Come on, Sorreltail encouraged them. Let's go and see Breakenfur. He'll need the company. She guided her kits out of the medicine den, leaving J-Paw alone with Leafpool. With the other cats gone, J-Paw could feel Leafpool's anxiety buzzing like a swarm of bees. Suddenly, Cinderpaw stirred. Leafpool switched her tail over the young cat's flank. Don't be frightened, she soothed. You are safely back at camp. You fell from the sky oak and you've hurt your leg, but we're going to fix it. Desperate hope flared in her mind, but her voice remained calm. What were you trying to do? Did you think you were a bird? Did you think you could fly? Her mew was as gentle as a mother's. J-Paw had never wondered if Leafpool felt sad she would never have kits of her own. Cinderpaw let out a soft moan, then her breathing deepened. She was unconscious once more. Come on, J-Paw, Leafpool mewed, suddenly brisk. Let's get this leg set. First, we need to take this binding off. J-Paw began to help Leafpool to gnaw through the cobweb, releasing the rushes. Now we need fresh rushes. Leafpool darted to the back of the cave before J-Paw could move and fetched 3 fresh rushes and another wab of cobweb. If we place those 2 there and hold another one here... J-Paw reached out to help, but felt her paws already pressing the rush gently to Cinderpaw's hind leg while she used her teeth to wrap the cobwebs around it. This should hold it tight. J-Paw started to feel as if he wasn't needed. Was Leafpool showing him what to do or just talking herself through it? Shall I get some comfy? He offered. What? Leafpool sounded distracted. Oh, yes, good idea. J-Paw collected a mouthful of leaves and began chewing them into a pulp. He could still hear Leafpool fussing over the dressing. A bit more cobweb here should hold it just right, she murmured. Cinderpaw twitched and let out a small whine. Perhaps we should leave her to rest, he ventured. There's nothing more we can do for her now. In an instant, he felt Leafpool's hot breath in his face. There is everything we can do for her, she hissed. Alarmed, J-Paw backed away, ears flattened. Anger flamed from Leafpool's pelt. We can't let Cinderpaw lose the use of her leg. He stammered. Leafpool backed off, and J-Paw felt guilt flood her mind. I'm sorry, J-Paw. I shouldn't have snapped. You've been a great help. But you wouldn't let me do anything. J-Paw bit back the words, wary of antagonizing her again. Leafpool turned away. I must go and talk to Sorreltail and Breakenfur. The brambles rustled as she pushed her way through them. J-Paw stayed where he was. What had gotten into his mentor? He knew she cared deeply for her clanmates, but he'd never seen her angry that a cat had been hurt before. It was as though healing Cinderpaw was the most important thing she'd ever have to do. Was it because Cinderpaw was her friend's kit? He checked Cinderpaw's heart, pressing his ear to her chest. It was beating too rapidly, her breathing too quick. He settled down beside her and let his warmth spread into her body. Speeding up his breath to match hers, he closed his eyes. He was standing at the top of a ravine. Thick woodland crowded every side, and far below, trees and bushes hid the ground from his view. Is this part of Darkland's territory? Fear cluttered his heart. Was Cinderpaw dying? Had he been brought here to save her the way he'd done with Poppypaw? A gray shape caught his eye below. Cinderpaw was leaping from boulder to boulder down the ravine. She disappeared from the lush greenery. J-Paw started to panic. I mustn't let her get out of my sight. He scrambled over the edge of the ravine, following the path Cinderpaw had taken, fighting to keep his balance on the tumble of rocks because he was unaccustomed to using sight to guide him. At the bottom, a dense wall of gorse blocked his way. Just in time, he spotted the tip of Cinderpaw's tail disappearing into it. He raced after her and found an opening in the gorse. He slithered through and found her standing in a sandy clearing at the bottom of the ravine. Bushes and ferns circled it protectively, and at the far end, a jagged rock blocked the way out. Cinderpaw? Cautiously, J-Paw padded towards her, tasting the air. It didn't smell like StarClan territory, but there was definitely some scents that he recognized. A tree stump near the edge of the clearing seemed to smell of Firestar and Greystripe. The bramble bush beside him carried the scents of Dustpelt and Thornclaw. Cinderpaw gazed around, wide-eyed, her tail twitching with pleasure. It's just as I remembered. I haven't been here for such a long time. What did she mean? This wasn't ThunderClan territory. How could Cinderpaw have been here? It didn't even feel like anywhere near the lake. The wind sounded different as it rustled the leaves in the trees at the top of the ravine. The air tasted warmer, filled with the damp fustiness that J-Paw had never scented before. Look here! Cinderpaw was padding over to the huge rock. This is the high rock. Then she turned and bounded over to the bramble bush that smelled of Thornclaw. And this is the warrior's den. The elder's den is over there. She flicked her tail towards a fallen tree. And over here, she raced across the clearing to another bush, is the apprentice's den. I used to sleep here before. Her mew trailed away, her eyes growing misty. She blinked. Then I moved to Yellowfang's den. Yellowfang! The name seared J-Paw's ears. Yellowfang had been ThunderClan's medicine cat before Cinderpelt. She was with StarClan now, and it seemed to J-Paw that her main duty was to butt into his dreams. He could picture her. Yellow eyes sparking, matted pelt bristling with impatience. Come and see! Cinderpaw's mew interrupted his thoughts. An eerie feeling pricked his tail as she led him through a narrow tunnel to a much smaller clearing. A rock towered at the far end, split down the middle by a cleft big enough for a den. Cinderpaw gazed wistfully into the shadowy cave. Yellowfang kept her herbs in there. Yellowfang's dead, J-Paw mewed. She's in StarClan now. Cinderpaw looked at him. Of course she is. Where else would she be? I don't understand. Why are you acting as if you lived here too? Because I did, many moons ago, before we left the forest. But you never lived in the forest. Once I did. Cinderpaw's blue eyes sparkled with starlight, but I've returned to tread a different path, the path of a warrior. She looked warmly at him, and when she spoke her voice seemed deeper, more wise, as if she'd aged in front of him. Tell Leafpool that she has nothing to fear. I will recover this time, and tell her that I am proud of her. She has learned more than I could have ever taught her. J-Paw's pelt bristled. Vivid images were thronging into his mind. A young gray cat running through an unfamiliar forest, a monster screeching off a thunder path, agony piercing her hind leg, blood in the wails of her clanmates, memories of learning herbs, limping after a yellowfang, of kits born in a river of blood, of fear in the forest being ripped apart by monsters, of a hard, long journey through snow and ice, and of snarling, vicious black and white creatures, jaws snapping, hungry for revenge and for death. J-Paw took a gulp of air, his paws unsteady beneath him. You're Cinderpelt, aren't you? He awoke with a gasp, his pads wet, his tail fluffed out. He jerked his head up, darkness filling his vision once more. J-Paw! Leafpool's breath stirred his fur. Were you dreaming? J-Paw struggled to his paws and leaned over the injured apprentice lying next to him. Cinderpaw's breathing was light and steady. J-Paw? Leafpool prompted. You were dreaming, weren't you? Yes. Thank you for the croissant. J-Paw tried to catch his breath. The violent visions he had seen flickered in his mind, red with blood and pain and fear. Will she get better? Leafpool asked quietly. Yes. Leafpool let out a relieved purr. She's been here before, J-Paw whispered. Leafpool touched his flank gently with her tail. I thought so, she breathed. She's Cinderpelt, isn't she? She led me into the old ThunderClan camp, J-Paw explained. She seemed so happy to be there. He paused, suddenly aware of Cinderpaw's body resting beside them. Do you think she knows? No, not in the waking world, Leafpool murmured, and we shouldn't tell her. Why not? It's enough that StarClan have let her come back and tread the warrior path she'd always dreamed of following. J-Paw pricked his ears. Didn't she want to be a medicine cat? Then I'm not the only one. She only became a medicine cat after a monster crippled her. After the accident, there was no chance she could be a true warrior, so she served her clan in a different way. But wouldn't she be happy to know that she's fulfilling her dreams now? If StarClan wants her to know, they will tell her. Leafpool's mew grew serious. We should not try to shape her destiny. Do you think telling her would change it? J-Paw's mind began to race. Did Leafpool believe that destinies could be changed like that? Did that mean that he was right to keep the secret of Firestar's prophecy from Linepaw and Hollypaw? If he told them, would it make them act differently? Leafpool, Cinderpaw stirred beside them. Her voice was hoarse. I'll fetch some water, J-Paw offered. He found a wad of moss and soaked it in the shallow pool at the side of the den. Here. He offered it, dripping, to Cinderpaw. She lapped it up eagerly, then murmured something he couldn't make out. He leaned closer. I'm hungry, she croaked. He heard Leafpool purr with amusement. That's more like the old Cinderpet, she corrected herself. Cinderpaw. I'll fetch her something from the fresh kill pile. As Leafpool padded out of the den, J-Paw heard Cinderpaw trying to stretch beside him. Ow, my leg. You'll get better. You need to rest now. Where am I? She murmured groggily. You're exactly where you belong. J-Paw ran his tail along her flank. In ThunderClan. Aww, so sweet. Thank you for the croissant! No. Oh. I just almost thanked myself. I almost said thank you for the croissant, no, but it was what you wrote. Can you name the pioneering aviator who soared through the skies in a plane known as the Percival Gull? No. The skies were conquered by none other than Gene Batten, the daring aviator who piloted the Percival Gull. Wow! The more you know. All right, that was a successful reading Wednesday. Let's see. Who shall we read today? Love choice. Maybe we'll read this person? Oh, they have a lot of viewers. I always feel bad rating someone with a lot of viewers when I don't have a lot of viewers. But maybe I should just do it because I might help you guys find someone that you like, you know? That's always what I think. I like to rate people that I hope that you guys will like one day. Or at least like. This person says that they are say-so and in a... It looks like they're doing some cute game. So that's nice. We may only have a little bit of us, but we will share the love to other lovers of love. Yes. No stream tomorrow, but a new series is starting on Wednesday. I'm not Wednesday, sorry. Thursday with Dun. We're going to be playing A Way Out. Very exciting. Very, very fun. Thanks for stream. Thank you, Silver, for hanging out and listening, or just hanging out in general. And not listening, but still hanging out. I'll see you guys in 2 days. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Tell me, do something cool, and then on Wednesday or on Thursday you can tell me all about it, okay? All right. Let's go to the ending screen. Bow. Bow, bow, bow. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my god, her voice is so cute. I just opened up her stream. Aww. I wish I had a new series again. It's A Way Out. I could probably finish it in 2 streams, if not 1. Oh, and we're also gonna be starting that stream earlier. Oh, we're ending. Bye!